Hello, welcome, bienvenidos a otro episodio de Hoy en Día TV. I am Yessie Rodriguez, and we are here another beautiful day. Hoy en Día TV. So we have a special guest, and as per usual, I have my awesome co-host Manny Morales. Welcome to the stage, Manny.
Hola, hola, bendiciones, mi gente, ¿cómo estamos? How's everybody doing?
Beautiful, lovely.
Yes,
Can't complain.
definitely been a beautiful day. Hot,
Absolutely,
hot. It's supposed to
it is.
be, it's supposed to rain. I haven't heard any rain, but the storm that's coming has been bringing us a lot of rain down here. So,
Oh no, really?
yeah, it just passed Barbados this morning. It's near Jamaica and Puerto Rico. They're hoping that it kind of veers and turns, but prayers to everybody out there in Jamaica and Puerto Rico and the people in Barbados because I heard it hit it real bad. So prayers to those people out there. But yeah, we've been getting a lot of rain lately, like
Oh my
hours of rain,
goodness.
type rain. Yeah,
That's scary. Oh gosh. So typically around this time is hurricane season for some reason. It's like
yeah,
the climate.
yeah. That's why beachfront property sounds nice, pero con la tormenta with those storms, no man,
Sí.
no man. You're the first one to get hit, you know, and then insurance, and then you're homeless. Mm-mm. I'm not trying to deal with that. No.
Right. No, yo te entiendo. Es difícil porque obviamente it's really nice to look at the wake up y like, la playa está linda, pero it's like when stuff like that happens, it's like, ooh, how do you deal with that, right?
Exactly.
It'll be so dope if in the future, and I'm sure this is probably coming or happening, kind of like how what's that in what's Iron Man? How he has didn't he have like a house that goes like underground or something, or maybe I'm thinking about something else.
Well, his workshop was underground. His house was above ground, but his workshop was underground. Yeah.
So it'll be dope if somebody like a really high tech engineer could create a house that like when storms come, it goes like "Doo," and it like lowers itself
That would be dope. That
and
would
like
definitely
it lines so that the storm comes, but your house is like still intact. And then when it's gone, it goes "Doo," it goes back
right.
up.
That would definitely be dope. I'm pretty sure it'll happen in the future, though. I'm definitely
Right.
sure.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna have to talk to an architect or engineer. Maybe I can come up with that and see. Me pongo rica.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
I know you have some stuff coming, well, going on recently. You had a open house, so talk to us about
Yes,
that.
yes. The open house was a success. For those that don't know, I'm educating people on financial literacy now. I just passed my exam to be able to teach people, or not teach because I'm not a teacher, but just educate people on how money works and how they can make their money work for them. So we had an open house yesterday. Yes, yesterday. And it was a success. That not as many people that I thought were going to show up, but people showed up, and now they have the knowledge, and we're going to actually, meet sometime in the future, the next couple weeks, and try to figure out what we can do to better their future and help them for their retirement. So, yeah, and then I'm setting up a Zoom call for the people that couldn't show up in person, um, because I had a couple people that bailed on me at last minute because they were doing something, with their family or something like that. So I was like, no biggie, y'all are just making me work harder. So I was like, well, let's do a Zoom call so that way you won't have to be there in person. Um, so that way you can get the information because a lot of the information that we give people, um, a lot of people don't know, and it would be a disservice of me to not give the people the information now that I know it, um, and so they can know and try to change their future. Um, so yeah, that's that. And then we did a photo shoot. We have a with Kings Republic. I don't have the shirt on today because I just came from the grocery store. Um, but we're having brunch the 13th of July, starting at 12. It ends at 6. But we're having like a meet and greet, meet Solomon, because a lot of people haven't met the designer for Kings Public. So he's going to be out there. We're going to have all the brand ambassadors. It's meet him and then meet the brand ambassadors. So we're going to tell people a little bit about the brand ambassadors, have some merch there that they can either purchase or stuff like that, and have like maybe a mini fashion show with the outfits that we have on. We're going to have some local music artists. Um, it's going to be dope. It's going to be epic. So me and a couple of the brand ambassadors went to the beach. Um, that's when having a beach on the house, I mean, a house on the beach would be perfect because finding parking, it took me 30 minutes to find parking. Like literally 30 minutes to find parking, probably a little bit more. And then when we got out, it was hot. I was like, man, I don't want to be here, but we had to do the promo video. So we have a promo video. It's on my page. You can watch it. Me and one of the other brand ambassadors. Um, so yeah, it's the 13th of July, starting at 12. For those that are going to be in Jacksonville, it's going to be at Aromas Cigar Bar, right? Cigar Bar. So it's going to be dope. It's definitely going to be dope. So
It sounds like it. That's definitely dope. And
uh,
for those who are interested in attending, follow Manny on his page. He always has different promos and different events that are happening. So
right,
tune in because you don't want to miss out.
exactly. It's going to be dope.
So, Manny, let me circle back on your financial planning and financial literacy. You
Mhm.
mentioned the open house. Is this something that you're going to continue to do every quarter, or is just like a one and done? How does that process work, especially for those who want to work with you?
No, it's an ongoing thing. It's every day. Like the people that I meet, um, if I meet you at the grocery store and we just spark up a conversation, and I'm going to try to help as many people as I can because there's a lot of people here that are either don't have a retirement or don't have enough to retire. Some people don't have life insurance. Some people don't have a savings for emergency funds or anything. And there's accounts and there's strategies that the rich don't tell people because they don't want everybody to be in the same position that they're in.
Right.
And I've learned a lot of the tricks of their trade, and I want to teach it to other people because we deserve to be able to not have to depend on the government for assistance, or have to be working at the age of 70 or 80. There's a 70-year-old that works at my job. He just had a stroke a couple months ago. Well, probably the beginning of the year, and he's back at work because he doesn't have. And he's 70, so back then they didn't have, nobody was telling them anything. It was just work, work, find a job, work, pay your bills, go home, work, pay your bills. Nobody was telling them, hey, you need to set up something for your retirement for your. So he had to go back to work. He couldn't afford to just retire when he had the stroke. And I'm pretty sure the stroke was because job related, and then he probably had finances. He's probably taking care of multiple people. So it's just it's sad, and I want to reach a lot of people. So you don't have to be in Jacksonville. We do Zoom. We could reach you, and we could give you the information that you need.
Yeah,
You
that's
don't have
awesome.
to be blind anymore. We're definitely going to help you. The information that we give you is free. We don't charge people. When we sit down with you on the Zoom call or whatever, and you want to learn, to get the introductory, we give it to you for free. All you have to do is show up. We'll give you the door. You just have to open it.
Absolutely. That's awesome. Yeah. And earlier when I asked my question, I meant in regards to like an open house, like
Oh yeah,
event you have going on. Like if they're going to be more in the future. It sounds
yeah,
like there might be more in the future.
most definitely. Like there's a lot of the Latin community is very big here in Jacksonville, and we don't have anybody in our company that is Latin besides me. So that's why my mentor was like, pushing me to get my license, so that way I can educate the Latin people, especially the ones that come and don't understand English or don't understand a lot of the things that um, they would be able to understand if they understood English. So
Right.
I'm going to try to
Absolutely.
break that language barrier for them, so that way they can prepare for their retirement as well in their future, and be able to, most of the time the reason that they come out here is because they are taking care of them and somebody at home. So if they put away some money into a high yield savings account or an annuity, um, they'll be able to have something for retirement, and set something up for them as well. So that way they won't have to worry about working the rest of their lives or working till they actually die.
Absolutely, yeah.
Um,
Bueno, ya lo viste, mi gente hispana que necesitan ayuda con su situación de financiera. Aquí Manny Morales te puede ayudar para planificar el futuro, su legada, para que puedas dejar algo a su familia y puedas vivir cómodamente, ¿verdad?
yep.
Awesome. All right, so we have a special guest who is well, I know him as a photographer, but he does wear many hats.
All right.
So we have Lemoi Desina who's going to be coming on stage. I'm going to let him talk about who he is because
All
it's
right.
always better to hear from that person versus me or you trying to explain, especially when they have a large roster resume of different things that they do. So welcome to the stage, Lemoi Desina.
What's up,
Hey,
bro?
hey, hey.
How's
What's
it
up,
going,
brother?
man?
I'm well. I'm well. How about yourself, brother?
Not too bad, bro. I'm doing great.
Man, good, man. Good. Congratulations on your new venture too, as
I
being a
appreciate that,
financial
man.
advisor and helping
Yeah,
out the
I
community.
appreciate that.
That's
Yeah, 'cause
big, bro.
it's
Yeah.
like the black and the brown community and some of the light, you know, pink
Mhm.
people,
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
Fair skin
are
folks.
right.
Yeah, yeah.
They don't have the knowledge, and it's like the people that have the money and know the knowledge, they're like, no, get
Mhm.
away. We don't want you.
Mhm. We
You
don't
know
want you to know it. Yeah.
exactly, and it's like it's easy, and they make it to a point where they make them scared to inquire or make that step to try to prepare for retirement, and a
Right.
lot
Right.
of people are skeptical about it,
Yeah.
and it's so simple that like when I started learning and my mentor like just you know hey, this is the information, and I'm like,
Mhm.
really?
Like, yeah, yeah.
That's
Is that
it?
what they doing? Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. And it's
Yeah.
simple. You just have
Yeah.
to you know um, um, put yourself first, and
Yeah.
you're putting into a 401k, or you're putting into
Mhm.
a savings account at your bank that's not gaining any type of interest. Get you a
Mhm.
high yield savings account where you can get at least 5% interest and actually
Right.
make interest in your lifetime. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because your savings accounts at the banks, yeah,
Mhm.
they're not giving you anything. They're not even giving
Yeah.
1%.
Yeah, yeah,
And
that's true.
to double your money, you would
Mhm.
have to live over 72 years.
Mm.
You know
Mm.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if you
Yeah.
put
Or
your
win the
money
lottery.
right, exactly,
Yeah.
and
Or win the
that
lottery.
was for old people and Puerto Ricans. That's what I heard
Right.
one time.
Mm. Mm. Well, no, I get it, man. I get it. So, no, congratulations with that,
I
man.
appreciate that, man. I
Yes,
appreciate
sir. Yes, sir. So, I'm Lemoi Desina. I am the founder of A Storytellers Promotions. It all started as a Storytellers Promotions and Marketing. A Storytellers Promotion and Marketing was more of something that I ventured into 4 years ago now, which has been crazy. I just posted a 4 year memory on Facebook that took me back to the official launch date, which was today, four
right.
years ago, which is crazy, right? So, but I was working the job like you were saying, Manny, where I became stressed. I was delivering wine and beer up and down all over North Carolina. I was all over the place. Started my day at like 4:35 in the morning, and my day may not end till like 8, 9, sometimes 10 at night. You
Wow.
know,
Wow.
yes, running, bro. And we had to, our trucks would come in, we get into the shop. Trucks are already be loaded, and then we hit the road, go to all the grocery stores, all the wine shops, beer spots, mom and pop shops, hit all of them. You know what I mean? And have to unload for each stop.
Oh
So
wow,
grocery stores, you may have 3 pallets you may have to unload, stacked
wow,
4 or 5 high. You know what I mean? So it was really hard on the body, and I felt like there was more to me than just that.
right,
And I began to feel that spiritually, and it started making me sick, you know.
Wow.
And when I began to get sick, I was like, yo, I got to do something different. There's more to me than just settling for this. And I'm killing myself, and I don't have time to pour back into myself because by the time I get home, I'm tired, I'm hurting, I need to lay
right,
down,
Right.
right?
Right.
So
Right.
yeah. So then I quit the job and I ventured into ASTP photography. It was a marketing company because I was outsourcing marketing tools at the time, but I was also creating promotional tools or what I called promotional candy, which was like a little
Mhm.
slang I started. But I said promotional candy, which is just promo for small businesses. And this was the same year. Wait a minute. This was I launched before. When was COVID? COVID was
2020.
That was 2020, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So towards the end of 2020, everything started, slowing down or whatever. It was already slow because of COVID, but I had
Mhm.
to pivot again at towards the end of 2020. And and yeah, man, so I did that and then I started going to school for IT. Um try to do that full time, and then I was relying on some monies that didn't come through because it was just a whole lot of things going on. Then I ended up getting into trucking, which is what you guys see me in now, right? My mini
Yeah.
house on wheels, right? So, but I would say though, trucking saved my life though, and I would recommend for anybody that's tried a lot of different things and you don't have the capital to fund your own vision, which is something that I had to learn the hard way.
hmm
Get into something that gives you the free space and the peace of mind for one, right? The peace of mind to give you the time to think and process and flesh out your thought processes, and also the time to actually work towards projects. You know what I
right,
mean? It's this trucking saved my life. It's allowed me a lifestyle for myself and for my kids that I didn't have before I did trucking. Tried a lot of different things from podcasting to photography to videography work to doing websites to doing editing on like Adobe software like Photoshop and Premiere Pro, Lightroom. I learned a lot of different little skill sets to kind of get me to where I am today. And I remember a guy say, man, what are you doing this time? Like, what's the new venture now, right? and and I think about that as I'm talking. It's funny, but my response to him was because I had my child at an early age. I have a 22-year-old daughter, and I have a son that's 19. So I had my daughter when I was 17. I was a baby. I was, going, I guess, kind of pivoting into my childhood a little bit. I'll let you lead too, but, uh, you
Yeah.
know, yeah. So, but it was I was a minority, one that would consider himself a minority, a statistic as well. Didn't wasn't raised with a father, single mom raising 5 kids on her own, doing what she can. So I
right,
didn't have the uncles to step in and say, "Yo, young buck, let me get you under my wing and let me teach you this and let me teach you that." Like honestly speaking, I feel like I was a late bloomer. I didn't learn how to write a check till I was 30 years old. You
oh
know what I
wow,
Wow.
mean? Yeah, so you would think somebody that's doing all that I do, like I had it together all up until this time, but I didn't. I had to learn this stuff the hard way and figure this thing out because I had a child early, which derailed me from my future plans and my goals. So now, when my daughter moved out to do her own thing, it was like, well, hey, it's just me now. You know what I mean? My son is in Florida, his mom. So why not go back and revisit some old ideas and try to work some things out? So this is me learning my capacity, and catching up on the old times and the things that I missed out on growing up. I'm a creative. I never stopped dreaming. I've always held on to my dreams. I've never stopped thinking ahead, trying different things. I just didn't have the capital to fund it,
right,
you know?
Right.
So now I'm in a position where I can fund my own goals and my own ambitions, and I don't have to wait for anybody. Yeah, I'm making I have good traction right now with a lot of different things. So I'm excited. I'm in a good space. So in a nutshell, that's where I'm at. So yeah, yeah.
That's amazing. I mean, so
Mhm.
how did you become acquainted with the whole trucking aspect? Like, how did you get informed of, this could be a
Mhm.
possibility for you, which it is now?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So trucking for me, um, I actually started in the box truck with a friend of mine, and we started a business together. I said, you know what, I don't mind getting out here over the road, and I could
Mhm.
actually run it until we get it to a place where we could hire somebody to replace me. Then I can kick back, you know. So we had a 26-foot box truck, and his wife, she did the dispatching work already, so she was already in that realm, and it was good when it started, but as going into business, you have a partnership, the numbers don't always add up. It became really, really hard and stressful. And I ended up living out of the truck for like week or two at a time in a box truck. If you know a box truck, like
Yeah.
getting a
There's no
U-Haul, it's just one bench in the
there's
front,
no
right?
room.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
and right. So I'm living in the box truck, bro, for like a week or two at a time and coming home every other weekend, feet swollen, and like it was bad. So
Mhm.
what ended up happening was I was in New York, Manhattan, and I was in Manhattan, New York, and I ended up hitting a bridge, a low bridge.
Oh,
Yeah, tore the box up, and it wasn't my fault. It was actually the people controlling traffic. They had a lot, New York. Yes, it's
Mhm.
a lot of one-way roads, right?
Yes,
So
horrible.
it's horrible, right? Everybody's in a rush to go nowhere,
right.
and everybody's angry. so, so
That part.
r- right, right. So they say go this way. I'm following them, and they say, yeah, you can get through there. And I'm like, my GPS said don't go that way. Are you sure? Yeah, you good. We had other trucks come by here already. You're good. Just go this way. Stay in the middle. And there was like an arc right in between the lanes under the bridge, right? The bypass. And I tried to sneak my way through. As soon as the bridge was right over my head, I knew I messed up. I knew it. I said, this is too low. I ain't gonna make it. And then sure enough, crack, 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 it tore the box all up, bro. It was bad.
Wow.
So yeah, so I had to pivot. And at the time, you just need regular license to do the box truck
All right.
business. But then I say, well, let me reach out to a company called TMC. They were all over the place, Black and Chrome. Everybody knows them to be the Black and Chrome company out of South Carolina and Des Moines, Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
And I went through the schooling with them first,
Okay.
to get my credentials, and I did I did my my permit first. You got to go through the DMV, get your permit, and I try to teach people this too because you can have a 5-year plan and retire almost after 5 years, or live a very comfortable life after 5 years if people play the
Right.
cards right, right. So this is what I did. I got in, I went through the schooling, found out that they pay you to go through the schooling, you know. And some people say, what trucking company pays you to go TMC? And it's flatbed, right? So if you don't
EMC.
mind, TMC, yes. So if you don't mind doing a little bit of hard grunt work in the elements and doing the flatbed work, securement with chains and tarps and all of that stuff, you in a good space, right? So went through there. They gave me my truck after it was 8 weeks at first. Now they shortened it to 6 weeks. But did 4 weeks into school. They put you in a hotel. They feed you twice a day. You got to have your own money for dinner. They go put you through the whole training, pay for your transportation to get to the school and to test out the whole nine. They do everything. Their only requirement is that you give them a year back in return. So you give them that year back. By the end of the year, you can leave the company. And that's what I did. I actually became a driver instructor at 6 months because I lived over the road for 3 months at a time. You know what I mean? So it was like 3 to 6 weeks at a time, I should say. I was living over the road because I'm like determined. I see the end goal. I see where this is going to take me, right? So I said,
Mhm.
okay, well, this could be good. This is sacrifice that I try to teach people. If you want to get to the next level in life, you got to learn how to sacrifice differently, right?
Right.
What
Right.
do they say? The definition of insanity is doing the same
Doing
thing
the
over
same
and over
thing.
again and expecting something different, right? So sacrificing different was something that I had to learn how to just like really become one with out here over the road. So I did that. I did that, and then after I did that, I came to the company that I'm with now, which is Blair Logistics. So I went from making 27, capping off at 33% per load, to now I'm making 70% per load,
Wow.
right? And I'm on a lease purchase program, right? So I try to get people the game because when I say trucking saved my life, People say, man, you do photography full time? Like, nah, bro, Sunday through Friday, I'm over the road. It looks like it because I have a lot of content and I'm active with
Right.
photography, but this is my bread and butter though. You know what I'm saying? So so you can go from making 27 to 33% capping off to making 70%. I'm on a lease purchase program, and my plan is okay, I have 3 years to pay this truck off. Now I'm looking at 3.5 because of repair costs and stuff, right?
Hmm.
As soon as I get this truck paid off, I'm selling it back to the company, and I'm liable to walk away with 25 to $35,000 in hand. You see what I'm
Right.
saying? And now I can reconstruct again and start over, and now I can have the life that I want while I'm making investments along the way before I even pay the truck off,
Right.
because I'm making enough now. You see what I'm
Right.
saying? So there's a system within 5 years. If people play their cards right,
Mm-hmm.
you can do pretty good and be well off after you get this whole process of said and done. So that's what my journey has been with trucking, and I still have another year and a half, looking at 2 years now, because of the repair costs. I'm estimating, but it's still pretty good. It's still good timing. Still good timing. So
That's
yeah,
dope. That's
yeah,
dope.
man.
I went to
Hmm.
trucking school a long time ago. I didn't
Yeah,
pass though. Yeah, I had so much
yeah.
going on in my life. Um, I went to the DMV and was taking the. I did everything. The
Hmm.
curve back got me every time. Like it got me
Hmm.
every time.
Yeah,
Getting
yeah,
the chances, and
yeah.
I was putting too much pressure on myself,
You were. Yeah.
I was
Most
like,
people do.
it's not meant for me. It wasn't.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, everything work out like it's supposed to. You know what I mean? I do believe in that. So
Yep.
everything is all predestined to be what it is. So it's your journey. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You found another out now because you're doing financial literacy. That's a
Right.
beautiful thing, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Definitely.
Heck, heck yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know nowadays most companies, or maybe all, require what's called the CDL, correct?
CDL. Yep. Yeah, and the requirement used to be 2 years, but ever since COVID happened, a lot of the senior drivers that had their own truck that they owned, they retired early. I want to be politically correct because the government tried to force vax truck drivers. I don't know if you guys remember when trucks was protesting around COVID, and they park on the side of the road, and they would say, "We're not driving because you guys are trying to force the vaccine on us truck drivers."
Right.
So that was a big thing. And what ended up happening was after a lot of these veteran drivers quit, it opened the market up for a lot of new companies to spawn, right? And as these companies spawn all over the place, it messed the market up because now it's oversaturated. So now there's no room to negotiate between truck drivers and brokers,
Hmm.
right? Because it goes from the broker that deals with the customer directly, then they put the load on the board, and then truck drivers find their load on the board. Same thing with big companies. There's a hierarchy with how everything works. So
Okay.
these smaller companies, right? So these smaller companies, they hit the marketplace in a negative way because we don't have room to negotiate our numbers anymore. So if there's a 300-mile drive, you may only get like, I don't know, as an independent driver or somebody that's on a lease purchase getting a higher percentage, you may still only get like about 60 cent, maybe a dollar on a mile. You know what I mean? And I had to fire my old DM with this company that I'm with now, because that was the situation. He had me driving 600 miles a day, but I'm only clearing $700 off of each load, doing 600 miles. I'm like, yo, like, you killing me, bro. You know what I mean? So that was last year. Last year we took a big hit. Trucking took a huge hit last year. But this year's a lot better, thankfully. And yeah, man, we back on track now. We're back on track. So
That's what's
yeah.
up.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's awesome. So obviously trucking is a certain lifestyle that
It's a
somebody
lifestyle.
needs to understand. So for those that are
Yeah.
not truckers, take us into a day in the life of what it is to be a trucker. Because do you stay in nice hotels, or in your case you say you like to stay in your
I'm in
truck? Your
I'm
bed?
in my truck. This is my bed right here.
Okay,
I don't
okay.
usually show people my truck, but and I have a bunch of different cubbies, and I'm not gonna show you all of that, but I have a bunch of little cubbies and compartments and stuff
Uh-huh,
for
uh-huh.
storage and all of that. But no, trucking is a lifestyle. You said the right word. It's a lifestyle, and this is my grind to keep me
Mhm.
hungry. I'm a dog out here, right? Not
Hmm.
not in the sense where they say truck drivers are dogs. That's not me. I don't live that lifestyle, right? They say you got another family out there. No, I don't do that, right? So, but but the way that I run, I don't take showers during the week. This is
Okay.
my hustle. This is what keeps my drive. This is what keeps my hustle going, right? I don't take showers during the week, and I'm open to talk about this. I use alcohol and baby wipes. I just bought some baby wipes right before the call and all of that. So, alcohol and baby wipes. End of the day, alcohol and wipe down. You know what I mean? Start over the next day, do it again because the objective with trucking is to try to stay ahead of the clock. So to maximize your clock, you want to make sure that you're either parked up at your destination the night before, or you're ahead of your clock where you're not getting caught up in traffic at certain times of the day.
Right.
Sometimes it's inevitable, but a lot of the times you can beat that if you stay ahead of the clock. So that
Right.
means TMC taught us about a $500 shower. It's exaggerated, but hypothetically speaking, if you have two drivers that leaves out the same time, the same day, going to the same destination, but one driver stops to take a shower, that one shower may cost that driver up to maybe 2 hours. That 2 hours behind the other driver ahead could cause the one behind to get caught up in traffic, accidents. It can be anything along the way, which sets him back maybe half of a day. And that 2 hours may end up being 4 hours by the end of the day. You see what I mean? So now that driver that was left behind or that stopped to take a shower may not be able to park up the night before, which means he may have to start his clock earlier the next day to get to the destination rather than being parked up already the next morning. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, don't let me lose you. So yeah, so yeah, and that's the whole hustle with trucking. You know what I mean? And again, me coming from the background of being a driver instructor, that was something that I had to like beat into these new drivers' heads. Like, yo,
Mhm.
stay ahead of the clock. You have to, and I would work them through my process. So when I was working with somebody, yeah, we stopped twice a week to take showers. But when I'm by myself, I'm running. I'm running. I'm a dog out here. Like I go get it. You know what I mean? And like I said, it keeps me humble. It keeps me low to the earth. I don't feel like, oh, well, I've made it. I'm this not now. Like I have a 5-year plan. Once this plan is said and done, I'm pivoting, starting over, going to the next thing. You know what I'm saying? And
So,
that's where I'm at. Yeah.
That's
yeah.
awesome, and thank you for sharing with OND and the viewers and audience that because
Hmm.
yeah, it sounds like you have to learn how to make sacrifices in order to move
Yes.
yourself ahead. And
Hmm.
so, do you create your own schedule, or do they give you a schedule? How does that process work?
Yeah, so because I'm on a lease purchase program, I can
Mhm.
pretty much set my own schedule. If I want to work 2 days out the week, I can.
Okay.
But I try to work. I leave out on Sundays and I'm back home on Fridays. So and again, it's because you have truck expenses. You know what I mean? You have insurance, you have fuel costs, all of that stuff. When you're on the lease purchase program, they pay for it on the forefront, but you have to pay for it on the back end. So every
Gotcha.
week you get paid, but you have to make sure that you have enough to at least cover your expenses for the week. Because again, I have a 3-year plan, which is a 3-year
Mhm.
program to pay the truck off, but 3.5 now. But every week there's recurring, deductions that comes out every week. Yeah. So I try to stay ahead of the game and I try to make sure everything is caught up and paid for.
Mhm.
I am a little bit behind now. They give you an escrow account for maintenance and breakdowns and stuff like that. So that's a separate account that they'll put money in automatically deducted from your check and put into this escrow account for maintenance costs and breakdowns, tire repairs, whatever
Mhm.
issues you have with the truck, it comes out of that. So
Okay.
and they're pretty flexible because I had last year I had a bunch of breakdowns from the month of like March all the way through like August. It was one thing after the other, back to back to back to back to back, and I was like, yo, they were hitting me for the entire amount. So I was coming home with like $99 one week, and I'm out all week. $99, $300 here, 200 here, 150, $98. I'm like, yo, I can't live like this, you guys. What are we doing? And they said,
Right.
well, I said, what are my options? I like to have options. What are my options? And they said,
Right.
well, what we can do is we can go ahead and just take out like a lower deduction, which is like an additional $300 out of your check outside of the extra 300 that they take. So it'll
Mhm.
be between 5 to 600 total that they take out every week. Truck payments like 700. They work out the numbers with you. You know what I mean? So I say again, for anybody that don't have a plan, but that's tried a lot of different things and that don't mind being by themselves, get into trucking. Get into
Okay.
trucking. I give them the game. I give them the game. 5 years, you'll be straight. I promise you. 5 years. Hmm.
Yeah, my,
Awesome. So yeah, before we finish, we'll make sure to so you can share your social media so people can find you. So in case they do have
Yeah, for
questions, they
sure.
want to get more info, they can hit you
Hmm.
up.
For
definitely.
sure. Let's do it.
Manny,
Yeah.
did you have a question?
No, I was just gonna say my uncle drives. He lives in Orlando. He drives. He's been driving trucks for years.
Mm,
Yeah,
it's
and he
good,
goes
man.
everywhere. I don't know
Yeah.
if he still does over the road, but I know he used to do over the road. He has
Yeah.
a daughter now, so he might just do local, but he
Yeah.
probably is gone somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of drivers, man. It's a lifestyle. Like
Hmm.
for some people, it's all they know is all they want. Like
Right.
it's like I said, it's if you appreciate the small things like the sunrises, sunsets, nature going through the mountains, and like if you appreciate stuff like that, especially if you're an artist, like y'all know, and
Right.
and
Hmm.
you're an artist, you'll appreciate it, and it's just like wow, man, it's serene, it's just it's just peaceful, it's beautiful, you know what I mean, and it keeps you going, man. So that's why I do it, man. It helps. You know what I
That
mean?
is awesome.
Yeah.
So, like with anything, Lemoy, there's red flags that we need to encounter, especially you being on the road, meeting different people, going to different
Hmm.
places. So, from a
Hmm.
security and safety standpoint, for somebody who wants to get into trucking, what are some of the red
Hmm.
flags or things to keep in mind to make sure that you are safe and sound each and every time you're on the road?
Yeah. So I'm in Virginia a lot, West Virginia
Mhm.
to be exact, right? So I'm in that area a lot. And of course, if you guys know, I'm trying to get my camera straight. Of course, if
Mhm.
you guys know, West Virginia is known to have sundown towns. So be aware of your territory. Wherever you're going, make sure that you're familiar with that area. And I remember one time I was training a guy in some little small sundown town, and we ended up in the mountains. And there was a bunch of little communities, little pockets of communities in the mountains, going up the mountain. And then I
Okay.
had to come back down because we ended up getting lost. I missed the turn for the delivery, and we were lost. So it was my turn to drive. It's like 1 in the morning. I'm going through the mountains real slow, going around the curves real slow because I'm like, I don't know where we're gonna turn around. This truck is too long. So I finally found a place where there was like a curve in the road, but I can back into like somebody's driveway and then pull
Right.
back out to turn around. And I did that. And when I did that, there was a pickup truck that ended up just out of nowhere. You would think this was like a scene out of Jeepers Creepers or something, right? So, so y'all seen Jeepers Creepers, right?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
Have I?
yeah, so the
Have
truck
I?
came out of nowhere with 30 headlights on the front of the truck. LEDs, the bar strip, it had everything, top and bottom strips. I'm like, well, who the heck is this? So they're just creeping behind us because I'm creeping. So I had another guy in the back. He was a black guy. And I was like, yo, wake up. He was knocked. It was 1 in the morning. He drove for the day. He was tired. So I turned the lights on in the back, turning it off, like, yo, wake up, wake up. We in the mountains. So
Right.
I'm not going down by myself. Like, look, we gotta jump somebody out here. We're gonna have to jump them. You know what I mean? So, so I'm like, okay. So what ended up happening was the truck tried to come around us, and
Okay.
and I said, nope. I rode the middle, and then I blocked him off from going around us because if I let him in front of me, he could easily cut me off and stop, come to a complete stop, and now we're stuck. You see what I
Right.
mean? So I was like, nope. Stayed in front of him, stayed in the middle lane, so he couldn't go around either from we're in the mountains, so the roads are tight. So I just no. And then my guy finally wakes up. He said, "Yeah, are you good?" I'm like, "Bruh, there's a truck behind us, and we're lost. We missed a turn somewhere. I missed a turn somewhere. I don't know where I'm at. We're in the mountains. It's ugly. You know what I mean? Get up, come up front with me." And he did. And so the company, if you're a company driver, they don't allow you to have a weapon in the truck with you, and that's the only negative that you're not allowed to have a weapon in the truck with you. Now, I do
Okay.
have, I don't have a gun, but I have weapons. You know what I mean? I have other ways to protect myself. I don't have a
Right.
gun. And they don't want you to have a gun. You know what I mean? And
Right.
that's fine. I'm okay with that. But but I would say know your territory when you're out here over the road. Know where the sundown towns are. Do your research. Also, when you're parking at the end of the day, for me, if I'm not parking at the job site, then I'm either at a truck stop, either a Pilot, a Love's, a Sheets that have truck parking for semi trucks. If all of those are full, which they get full typically around 6:30, 7 o'clock at night, then I would look for either a Home Depot, a Lowe's, or a Planet Fitness because they all have big parking lots and they won't mind you parking in their parking lots. And most WalMarts too. So those are my safe havens at the end of my day. Wherever I go, I'm always looking. Okay, if it's after 6:30, 7 o'clock, okay, well let me start looking for a Home Depot, Love's, or Planet Fitness, and it will always works out in my favor. You know what I mean? So
That's what's
lights
up.
everywhere. You don't have to worry about nobody running up on you. You're good. You're good.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So until today, I heard it was a sundown town. What exactly is
Sundown
a sundown town? I've
town.
never heard of it until today.
So sundown towns are where you don't want to be a person of ethnic color, I guess colored person,
Okay.
right? It's old redneck towns, small towns, and they're
Okay.
redneck and everybody knows everybody. Typically between 150, maybe 300, 400 people, maybe somewhere around 500 people the most.
Hmm.
Small
Okay.
little towns like that where everybody knows everybody. You don't want to get caught out there after the sun goes down because you're a target if you're not one of them.
Right.
So
Okay.
very, very
Okay.
territorial. There's been a spot in Denver. Is it Denver? Somewhere in Denver. I think it was in Denver last year, or the year before, where there was some drivers. Every time a driver went into this one particular area, these drivers were dying in their trucks, and they couldn't explain or understand why these drivers are just coming up dead inside of their trucks, you
Wow.
know. So yeah, and they were in just so happened to be in sundown towns. And there's ways to manipulate things through the air vent. You can have a lot of different ideas to get, you know what I
Absolutely.
mean? So
Oh my God.
it's too easy out here, you know. And that's the only other scary part or the negative. I don't think about it much because I know where to park and I know where to go to make sure that my safety comes first and I'm not worried about that. So, but for other people that don't know, yes, those are spots that you guys could target or look for when you're out here over the road. That's it's guaranteed safety, guaranteed safety. So yeah.
So how exactly do you go about searching for those? Like, is there a Google search I got to type in like sundown
Mm,
town? So what's the proper
well,
way so that we can
well,
make
you
sure everybody's safe?
Yeah, you can look at articles. I'm sure there's plenty of articles online if you look
Mhm.
up where to find sundown towns in the United States. And I'm sure you'll probably get articles pop up from different little small towns and states and stuff like that. So they're out there. They're out there. Yeah,
I got
definitely
you.
out there. Yeah. Yeah.
Driving a lot, how do you make sure you stay alert? Because I know sometimes if I have to go long distance, I'd be like,
Yeah.
sleep. I
Yeah.
don't know if that happens to you, Manny. If you have to go long
Yeah.
distance,
Oh
like,
yeah. Yeah.
like how
It's
do you
better.
stay alert? You drink a lot of coffee, a lot of energy drink,
It's just
huh?
not for everybody. It's not for everybody. It's not for everybody, you know. And I think staying alive is what keeps you alert. You know what I'm
That part, that
saying?
part, yes,
Staying alive will keep you alert. You know what I mean? And because you know you have an 80,000 pound truck that you're driving,
right.
it can be up to 80,000 pounds, and just knowing the distance to keep between yourself and another driver in front of you, how to look ahead, timing your brake times. I mean, even using engine brakes. It's just a lot. It's just and again, you have to always be aware of your surroundings as you're driving
Right.
too. So you're automatically alert. If you're a good driver, you're automatically in that alert space. You know, if you're a bad driver, you're looking straight the entire time, and yes, you will fall asleep by looking straight. But if you're paying attention to your surroundings at all times, then you're gonna stay awake. It's automatic. It's automatic. You know what I mean? Yeah. Today I did have to take a nap today though because I've been running out here with photography, man. Photography's been keeping me busy, 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 busy on the weekends. Like
Mhm.
literally over the road. Over on the weekends when I'm home, I'm not even home on the weekends. I'm out and I'm running, you know, and I'm back home. Like I made like Friday for an example. I ended up getting off work on Friday. What was it? I had there was a big concert going on in Durham. It was a conference and a gospel event. As soon as I ended up getting off of the road, made it home, took a shower, loaded up what I needed for the concert, and left. Didn't make it back to like I don't know what like almost one. It was like 12:30 at night. Then I had to get up the next morning, and I had an 11 o'clock photo shoot Ran out and did that, and then right after that, I had to shoot to Fayetteville for a business meeting. I want to get into solar farming. That might be something that, man, we could
Oh,
probably
okay.
talk about. Yeah, man. So, looking at getting into solar farming. So I'm like, had to go sit down with a good brother for a couple hours, and we talked. Made it back. Had another shoot, and I was just like, yo, I rode that day. You know what I mean? Didn't make it back home to like 7 that evening. And then 8, passed out around 9, and then Sunday stayed up, got caught up on a wedding project that I finished editing that, sent that out. Then the concert from Friday, started that, halfway done with that. Then I had to get back on the road again, do it all over again, you know?
Wow.
So it's a level of sacrifice that I do feel like people have to be okay with. You have to learn to embrace. Now,
Right.
a good brother today said, well, you got to find that work life balance, right?
Right.
And my response was, well, what's the work life balance to somebody that's hustling, right? Jokingly saying that, but it's there's a catch 22 with that,
Mhm.
because I can get so caught up in the hustle because I have this 5-year plan that I'm
Mhm.
in the middle of right now. I can get so caught up in the hustle that I forget about immediate family. You know what I mean? My kids are doing their own thing. So I'm an empty nester. My daughter's 22, has her own place. My son is in Florida. He's doing his thing. So it's just me. I don't have any immediate worries like a lot of people. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I get out there and I'll just run and just go. Check in with the kids. Hey, y'all good? Yeah, we good, Pops. All right, cool. I can check in with y'all later. And I'm gone. And you know what I mean?
Right.
Right.
And it's like that, and I did some research, and you look at people like what's your boy that started Apple, um, the
Steve
Apple
Jobs.
phones, Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs, you got people like Elon Musk, like you got people
Mhm.
Kanye West. There is no work-life balance for
Right.
people that are successful. And so it's a catch 22 because there's a thin line with knowing when to spend time with family,
Hmm.
slow down, and
Right.
when to just go. You know what I mean? And so I think because I'm always researching information for myself to get to the next level, I've been getting into philosophy lately, just kind of like learning different ideas from old, well known philosophers like Nietzsche, right? And I came across this information here recently, and one of the things that he believes is egalitarianism, right? He's an egalitarianist, which means he believes that we should all have equal rights, right? Which goes with the First Amendment, right? And you can find egalitarianism in other organizations like, any kind of minority movement. You know what I mean? The LGBTQ plus movement, the Baphomet from the Satanic Temple. Like you got all these different groups that they say, well, it's all about equal rights. You know what I mean? The equilibrium of
Mhm.
opposites is how they describe it, right? So you have Nietzsche that says, well, I believe in equal rights for everybody, but the conversation shouldn't stop there. What do we now do with the rights that we have? Right?
Right.
So my whole thing is when I heard it, I was like, yo, that's really good.
Mhm.
Because some people are brought up, most majority of us, I'll say a good 90%, and this is a stretch, but I say a good 90% of us that consider ourselves minorities, we have a mindset that comes from a victimization background. You know what I
Okay.
mean? So if, let's say for an example, if for 30 years we talking about, oh well, we're minorities, and and again, the Democrat Party don't talk about politics, but they're really
Mhm.
big about talking about minorities, right?
Right.
But
Right.
if we're minorities, and for 30 years all I've been hearing about is what we've gone through as being victims, then what happens 30 years later when we have kids, and that's the same story that we're still holding on to. We're passing that mindset on to our kids,
Right.
right? So Nietzsche said, well, he believed that um these are just theories, and this it's just it's these are theories and
Mhm.
perspective,
Yeah.
because he talked about the Bible. He talked about the Bible, and he said that the people of the Greco-Roman era, right? The Greeks would say their stories was for the victors, by the victors, and about victors, right? People that that achieved and they look at themselves highly and they don't look at themselves as victims versus the Bible. He would say that the Bible came from where the Old Testament and New Testament came from stories from the victims, by the victims, and for the victims. You know what I'm saying? So his ideology was, if again we want to be strong, this goes back to the whole survival of the fittest and the Big Bang theory and all of that stuff. But if we want to be strong, we had to change the perspective about how we look at ourselves. It's
Right.
not about turning the other cheek. Sometimes you got to have a little bit of war to
Right.
win. Sometimes you
Right.
got to stand up for yourself. Sometimes you got to change the perspective of how you view yourself and give yourself more credit instead of always just saying, and I'm still a believer, so I don't want to. These again, his thoughts, his processes. These are worth looking into, right? So he feels like we had to look at ourselves in a greater light to understand what God is really about and who God really is. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So again, going back to the idea of what it is to be a minority, I feel like if if a minority, matter of fact, can I read something for y'all real quick? Let me read something
Yeah,
for y'all
go
real
for
quick. Let me read something for y'all. I've been on this whole growth journey, man, and this is why,
it.
right? So the secret to me is a lot of people don't know that I'm a nerd. I am. You know what I'm saying? So people think I'm a nerd, man. I nerd up
It's
on
okay
certain
to be a
things.
nerd.
It's okay to be a nerd, right? So people be like, man, how you stay so busy? It's strategizing from. It's when you're a nerd, you see things differently. But anyway, so check this out. My argument after listening to this whole presentation about Nietzsche, is that if my being a minority, if the word minority describes a group of people and it defines a group of people, then I feel like we may not even need this idea of racism. Because again, if racism is a system or a group of people, then how do we compare it to this idea of being a minority? Because what are some of the things that you think about when you think about a minority? You think about the things that we lack as a people, as a group of people, where we could improve, where we need help, and then, you know what I mean. So a minority, in all essence. Let me read this to you guys. Let me read this to you guys.
Mhm.
This comes from the Law Dictionary, right? I'm excited about this because I haven't really been able to talk about it. So y'all getting an exclusive, right? So so check this out. So a minority coming from the Law Dictionary. 'Cause I like to use the Law Dictionary when I'm doing, excuse me, when I'm doing my research because it tells you how to use certain keywords in the courts, right? So a minority says this: the state or condition of a minority, infancy, right? So the state or condition, right? I want y'all to catch it. This is going to be deep. It says opposite of majority, the smaller number of votes of a deliberative assembly, opposed to the majority, in context of the Constitution's guarantee of equal protection. Remember, egalitarianism talks about equal rights and equal protection, right? So all this ties back into it. So, in context of the Constitution's guarantee of equal protection, minority does not have merely numerical denotations, but refers to identifiable and specifically disadvantaged groups, such as those based on race, religion, ethnicity, or national origin, right? So it's not about the numbers, but we are
Right.
identified by specifically disadvantaged groups. This is how we're defined as the word minority, right? So check this out. So we're defined by disadvantaged groups such as those that based off race, religion, ethnicity, and national origin. That's definition one. Definition two goes into voting, right? So the first one in that, it says in voting, a side with less than half the votes. Definition two in that section, it says a term for people in a predominantly Caucasian country who are not Caucasian, right? So now we're talking about a system.
Right.
See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So let me say that again. A term for people in predominantly Caucasian country who are not Caucasian, right? Including African Americans, Hispanics, Asians, Indigenous Americans or Indians, and other people supposedly of color, despite the irony that the majority of the world's population is not Caucasian. So again, United States may be the only country that refers to the terms of the people to say, well, we have a group that we consider the minority, You know
Right.
what I mean? And
Right.
again, if minority is how we're defined, then and it's only done here in the United States, then we can consider this the system. Check this
Right.
out, right? Check this
Right.
out. It goes deeper. So sometimes the term is employed to include women and homosexuals. Minority carries with it a certain patronizing tone, even when used
Mhm.
to assert rights of people who have been discriminated against, either socially or by law. Right, we get that on the regular. The period of life or under age of legal age. Right, so there's another section up here that talks about the state or condition of a minority infancy that goes back, but it talks about being an adult. And then I go into the definition of what it is to be adult, but that's something separate. So check this out. What I get from it is if we're considered minority,
Mhm.
it's because of the state or condition. The other definition that I want to go to with the adult portion is somebody that can't that's not what is it? I don't want to mess it up. I don't want to mess it up. It goes very well with this too. Hold on, let me pull it up real quick. This stuff is good, yo. I've it changed my life, yo. It changed my life. All right, so here you go. It's a person who by virtue of attaining a certain age, generally 18, is regarded in the eyes of the law as being able to manage his or her own affairs, right?
Hmm.
Mm.
So it goes a little bit deeper into that where it talks about again the condition or the mindset, right? So if in a state, let's say in the courtroom, if we if we don't have the capacity to represent ourselves, what happens? They give us a private attorney, a public
Right.
defender,
Public.
right?
Right.
Let's say in real life, if you don't have the finances to make it through a year or 6 months or whatever, what do they have? Government assistance. You know
Right.
what I'm
Right.
saying? So there's assistance. So by definition, a minority is somebody who has to rely on the government for assistance,
Hmm.
right? So if you rely on the government for assistance, and it goes deep because it goes into the age difference and just a bunch of different other things, but to be specific with this situation, if you have to rely on the government for anything, you're technically considered a minority, no
Right.
matter in whatever capacity, right? And if
Mhm.
you are a minority, then you don't have the capacity to what? How does it say? Being able to manage your own affairs. You see
Right.
what I'm
Wow.
saying? So again, if this is how we're defined, then is racism even necessary? Is the question. You see
Right.
what I mean? So
Right.
if racism isn't necessary, then we had to learn how to, like you said early on, Manny, we had to learn how to do it for ourselves first. You
Right.
know, like you said, you had to disconnect. You're on this path now with financial literacy. You got to
Hmm.
do it for you first before you can help other people. You
Exactly.
know,
Absolutely.
Exactly.
right? So this even goes back to Nietzsche, where he has like this, this ruthless mentality, and they even talk about Beethoven, how Beethoven was a ruthless individual because like that whole Mamba mentality that
Mhm.
Kobe Bryant had, he get that from the old scholars, the philosophers from back in the day, like Beethoven and even Nietzsche, right? Because these guys, they're the type of people that don't care about your feelings, and it's something that you have to learn. It's a learned behavior. So you can't worry about somebody else's feelings or how a person views you while you're on your journey in self-discovery. You
Right.
have to learn how to become one with yourself and learn how to embrace the different challenges that comes with your journey and know that it's all set to be what it is because this is how we grow. A lot of us grow based off of the traumas that we've gone through. Trauma
Right.
Right.
trauma promotes growth if you look at it under the right light. You see what I'm saying? So it's just a lot, but I say all that to say I'm in a headspace now where I'm viewing life differently. You
Mhm.
know, I'm super active, super creative. I appreciate conversations like this because I don't have enough of them, and I
Right.
know
Mhm.
it could probably go above a lot of people's heads, and that's okay.
Yeah,
But
I mean, really, that's what OND is about.
right,
Positively, positively motivate and change people's mindset for the better.
right, and that's what it's about, But I have to go through it first myself before I can share
Right.
it
Right.
with the world. You
Exactly.
know what I mean? So a lot of my quiet times when I'm off social media, I'm going through something, or I'm experimenting, or I'm testing God, or I'm testing these theories. Like I'm going through things and I'm learning how to change my mindset because again, my my adolescent years didn't come with having the right adults in place to help mold me to be the person that I am now. I had to
Right.
go
Right.
through it the hard way, and I had to glean towards older men that came off educated or like they had things all together, but I always ended up getting hurt somewhere along the line by these same men, whether it was church, whether it was just leadership in general, whether it was just old friends. There was always some kind of pain and suffering that came from my pursuit after these men to learn and grow and just glean from them. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So yeah, man. So now I'm just like, okay, well, that's cool, and I have my circle of people that I can consult with, which is good now. But I just learned that the more I learn about you, I'm learning about myself now. You know what I
Right.
Absolutely.
mean? And yeah. So even when it comes down to like meeting new people, I'm gonna share this and I'm gonna let y'all speak, right? Because I'm excited,
Yeah,
y'all.
you good.
I'm
You
excited. So check this out, right? Like I said, I don't have enough of these conversations, but so so I've learned even in my dating life, right, or just meeting new people,
Right.
when it comes to an attraction, if there's an attraction from me to the opposite sex, and that attraction could be a void that I actually have within myself, something
Right.
that I'm missing within, right? So if I'm missing something, but I see it in you, where they may be okay, well, she's a good planner, or she's an outgoing person, she's this real super dope individual. Maybe she has a really really bright mindset, and she has her stuff together. You know what I'm saying? And that may be something that I'm missing within self. So
right.
that leads to the attraction. The more I learn about the person, the more I care about this person, and the more I want this person around because this person is fulfilling a void within. You see what I'm saying? So now boom. If I could acknowledge that, then I could eventually learn how to become these things for myself. But where a lot of people get it wrong or they miss it is that they ignore the fact that there was a void in the beginning process or the early phases,
Right.
and they make this person their end all be all. So when things fall apart, their whole world falls apart. And some people try to kill themselves. You know what I mean? They start cutting. They get on drugs. It can be anything. You know what I mean? And not taking that any. You're not making it light of it, like taking it like you know what I mean lightly. But people fail to realize that the thing that was that you were attracted to is the void that's within. So
Right.
now every person that I meet is on purpose. It's all intentional because the
Mhm.
more I learn about you, the more I'm learning about myself. Because if I'm drawn to you, that means there's something about me that I'm missing within. So the
Right.
more I learn about you and grow with you, the more I can learn how to become these things for myself now. That way, my life isn't as hard as it once was. It's a law of oneness. It's a
Right.
universal law. It's principles. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So
Right.
if we could again embrace that, bro, we'd have a better world today. You know what I mean? We have
Yeah.
a better world today. So that's all I got for right. I'll let you take that. You go ahead.
It
I'll
was
let y'all.
deep. Yeah. Manny, you got anything to say about that? Any follow up
It
questions?
makes sense. It definitely makes sense.
It makes
Uh,
sense, right?
that's
Yeah.
really deep. And I mean, you have time to think about stuff on when you're on the
Because I'm
road.
on the road, right?
It,
Exactly,
it
and that's
definitely makes sense.
that's that's why I appreciate this process with being
Right.
over the road because I can flesh these things out, and it's not like life is busy. We
Right.
run. I can jump from one thing and be like, oh yeah, I remember I had to do this. As soon as I get started, oh dang, I got that. Let me jump back over here, and I'm all over the place, right? But
Right.
being
Right.
over the road, man, I appreciate it for this purpose now because I'm developing patterns and habits, good
Right.
patterns and good habits, so that when this is all said and done, this process is done and over with, I'm in a clear space where I can create my own environment, create my own atmosphere, be in my own private space. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I'm not over the road. I don't have to worry about driving. It's just going to be a paradigm shift for me, man. I'm excited about it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So sacrificing different, man. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned the whole relationship thing because I was going to ask you that as a follow up.
Hmm.
It sounds like relationships, especially between considering having a partner, may have some sort of you may have to sacrifice that because you're always on the
Yeah,
road. Right, or am I wrong? How does that
yeah.
work with
It,
love
it
life?
I don't have I'm not in the space currently to be in a relationship, and I come to that conclusion the beginning of this year. You know what I mean? I was in a situation. It was a situation, more of a situationship, I guess we can call it
Yeah.
that. But I was in a situation earlier this year. It was beautiful. If I could describe the perfect relationship or situationship or whatever you want to call it would have
Yeah.
been that. You know what I mean? But we were both working on ourselves, and we both had things to kind of put more focus towards.
Mm-hmm.
And we both understood it and respected. We're still friends today, but I think at the end of the day, we're both focused on our future, not with each other, but supporting
Right.
from a distance.
Mhm.
And a lot of my time over the road before I made it here to this place mentally, like last year, again, it was rough over the road for truck drivers. So I was going through a lot of hardships mentally last year. I wasn't at this place of peace. I had peace, but the balance was off because the finances was off. So I had a lot of days where I was stressing. I couldn't get creative. I'm thinking, okay, well, this is your bread and butter. This is where all the money comes from. Everything else is secondary, but the main thing isn't the main thing right now, and the
Right.
secondary thing isn't jumping either. So, what are we doing?
Right.
And it put me in a depressing state last year, and I was depressed a lot. Went through a lot of depression last year,
Wow.
even while talking to this person. And I believe it caused insecurities within myself too, because I felt like I needed to be at a certain place, you
Right.
know,
Right.
and my stuff just wasn't coming together. You know what I'm saying? So there was some conflict there, and we both decided to just go ahead and just move on and
Yeah.
focus on our thing that we had. And again, it was all peace. It was still love. It's still everything. You know what I
Right.
mean? But I also realized and I understand at this phase in life, I need to be by myself. I need to build my house before I bring somebody else in. In a literal sense. So I don't feel like I do date, I do meet. It's more recreation for the purpose of learning more about myself.
Hmm.
So my interest now is, I don't talk like this, but y'all family. So my interest now, when I am talking or reaching out to somebody like doctors, the lawyers, people that have their own businesses, the people that have, because they're at a place where I want to be. You see
Right.
what I'm saying? So
Absolutely.
they have a mindset, and man, you should know this, right? Women are killing it right now, bro.
Right. Right.
Women are killing it
Woo
right now.
woo!
You know what I
Really?
mean?
Shout
And
out to all the entrepreneur and all the amazing women out there. Woo
well,
woo!
well, look, I'm not trying to toot your horn for you now. I'm just
Right.
saying,
Right.
but no, they're killing it right now, bro. And there's a mindset that women have right now that we could appreciate if we can learn more about their processes,
Right.
right? So how do you get to the place where you can be abstinence? You can practice abstinence for
Mhm.
5, 6 years to focus on your
Right.
goals solely. How do you get there? Because that's hard for a man. You know what I mean? So like there's a lot of hard questions that's asked. And when I go out, I don't mind covering the meal, covering the night. Like I'm a gentleman like that. But it comes with an exchange, and I'm not just doing it just to be doing it. So I'm looking to grow and learn more about myself in this journey. So I don't, and I'm not out there being no whoremonger or nothing like that. Like I'm just making friends. You know what I mean? Like I'm just making friends, right? And I'm meeting a lot of dope people along the way, man. And it's a beautiful space though. And I would say for anybody that's on a self discovery journey, if
Mhm.
you could afford covering some date nights with some women that you may have some interest in, do it. It's recreation. Learn more about yourself in those steps. Now, I'm not talking about try to figure out how to manipulate somebody to get in their panties. I'm just saying
Right.
learn more about yourself by meeting new people
Right.
that are further along in life than you are. You see what I'm saying? And it's okay to say that. I'm okay with saying that. I ain't got a problem saying it. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't be able to talk like this if I wasn't doing that, right? So I'm constantly at a place of elevation and growth where everything is on purpose. All things is on purpose. I don't waste time. I don't have that kind of time to waste. So
Right.
yeah, all things on purpose. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Thank you for sharing that with us. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
Manny, what were you gonna say, brother?
I don't want to say nothing.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say. I didn't want to speak over you if you were gonna say so. I'm sorry. Sometimes we do that. So I'm like, let me be mindful here. No, but that's good. And the reason why I asked that question is because it sounds like based on what you're sharing with me, this is your experience, so it
Mm,
doesn't apply to everyone, but someone
right.
considering a career in trucking or a lifestyle in
Mm-hmm.
trucking, these are
Mm-hmm.
some of the things that they may or may not have to sacrifice is having
Yeah.
family or relationships because
Yeah.
you're gonna be on the road a lot unless you
Yeah.
take them with you and you squeeze everybody in there or you go on
Yeah.
road trips.
Yeah, and
Um,
the thing about that too is, I don't mean to cut you off, but
uh-huh.
like there are some good women that are out there that could actually say, "Hey, my needs aren't that intense where you have to be home every night." You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And I think that's a conversation to be had early on. If
Absolutely.
somebody decides to go out and do this trucking thing, it's like, "Hey, what are your needs?" Let's be honest, because you can say, "Oh, well, I'm good with you being out 5.5 days a week," but as I'm out 5.5 days a week, you struggling on your end because you have all this free time and I'm not home at night, the bed is cold. Like, what do you
Right.
need? And let's
Right.
be honest, it's a real conversation to have, man. And I think, again, for me, and I would recommend it for anybody else that's on their journey, the art of communicating is important. It has to be a person that has to be able to articulate themselves in real time,
Right.
and express themselves to be direct with the things that
Mhm.
they need. Because if not, then we could be wasting our time. We could be wasting our
Right.
time. So I'm not. Again, we don't have time to waste now. We got
Right.
we got
Time
things
is
to
too
do.
precious. I agree.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
no, no. The whole playing games and all that, that's for little
mm,
kids, little shenanigans. We ain't
yeah,
got time. Oh, our clock is ticking. We got to figure it out.
yeah.
Gotta
Seriously,
play more
yeah,
games.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So let's pivot over to your photography because you do
yes.
also photography and
Hmm.
an array of stuff that you shared in the beginning of the conversation when we first started.
Hmm.
So tell us, how did you become acquainted or get started in photography?
Yeah, so I had a friend of mine. I got a friend of mine. Not had, but he's still a friend. But he used to. His name is Tony Jones. Shout out to Tony Jones. Shout out to my mentors, man. I have a few mentors: Tony Jones, Lim Mobley, and Rob Miracle. Those are my top three that I go to for everything if I have an issue. So Tony Jones was when I first launched and I started a storytellers promotion.
Uh huh.
Me and him started getting together and we would have like these little small meetups with one or two models. And for the very first year of doing photography, I didn't release anything. No pictures, nothing. Cause he was like, yo, that's not it. That's not it. And what made the reason why I value his opinion so much was because he used to have these contracts with Google, right, every summer for like 3, 4 summers straight. And I'm like, yo, how do you do that?
Right,
And
right.
he said, so he gave me the game and he was like, well, in order to get to the place of doing corporate photography, your work has to represent that. You have to show that that's where you're headed. So
Absolutely.
in your journey of building your portfolio, don't just shoot anybody if you're going to do it for free. Make sure the people that you shoot with, they have a particular look, style, and
Hmm.
the total package for where you're trying to go. And
Right.
that's what I did, right? I started focusing on that. And then because of that, and because he didn't allow me to share anything from the very first year, it caused me to take a step back as I began to grow into it to start
Hmm.
strategizing differently, because there's no rush. You don't need to be in a rush to share information. You know what I mean? And that helped me in more than one way, not just with photography, but with social media too, because even from that time to now, I've even taken breaks from social media, 6 months once, a whole year once, another 6 months another time. You know what I mean? Just to so I can focus on myself. But it caused me to not be so stuck on social media to the
Hmm.
point where I could actually take a step back and really plan and strategize the correct way and start really getting some things out. So um, I started reaching out to people, doing shoots with free shoots, and I think Manny, one of them was the train station you were supposed to come to, I believe.
I think so.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I
I
think it
ended
was
up coming.
you came, yeah, yes, you came out, yeah. And that was last year. And when I did that
Mhm.
last year, I think it was like 36 people that showed up last year,
Mhm. There's a
right?
lot of
So
yeah.
that was a lot of people, and it was free to the public. So what ended up happening was I utilized that to get the Google reviews. So get the Google reviews up from that, and then I'm also looking for references. Do you know somebody that needs my services, right? And then on top of that, I started working towards my website with building my website up with new
Mhm.
faces. to
Right.
work towards this year. Right now, I'm working towards next year because I want to get into event photography and just focus on that. So I'm doing events now to prepare for next year. But when I did the train shoot last year, that became the face of my website. So you're up there, like a lot of people up there, like it's just a lot of stuff that's up there. So this year going into it, I said, well, you know what? Website is solid, beautiful website. I've been featured in the Wake Forest Historic Museum. Had my work featured out there for first quarter of this year, which was
Oh,
beautiful, right? That's
congratulations.
that. Yeah, thank you. So I did that, and I was like, man, I could use that. And then I was on. I had a magazine feature as a photographer, not a model, but a photographer, published as a photographer. I forgot the magazine name, but was featured in the magazine as a photographer, as a highlighted photographer in the local area. Then I said, you know what, let me utilize this and let me start doing some recaps of my weekends as a photographer. And
Right.
I believe between God first and that second, the strategy for that's been keeping me booked every weekend this year so far, man. Like it's been crazy. Like every weekend, literally, I'm booked for a shoot, doing something different. It's nonstop. You can go back to my Instagrams, look at all of my weekends. I'm doing recaps for every weekend this year. You know what I'm saying? And it's been beautiful. And now, like I said, I'm transitioning into the event space to doing fashion shows, doing more birthdays. Got a community event coming up in July. Have a few more fashion shows coming up in November, August. Traveling. I was just on a fashion show on a cruise ship going to the Bahamas. Um,
Nice.
it's been like like wide open, So it's been a blessing. And again, first I got to give thanks to God first, man. But then it's the strategy that came with that to stay in people's faces because what I learned about human behavior is that people want to feel included in what you
Right.
have going on. It's like the movie science term called parasocial relationships. You know what I mean? Like being like you ever watched a movie series or TV series where you just became one with the character so much that when
Right.
that person died off, it really hurts. You know what
Right.
I mean? Like man, that really hurt, man. Dang, that's crazy. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or when a celebrity passed, like when what's your boy name from Cali? Nipsey Hussle died. When
Hmm.
Nipsey
Oh,
Hussle died, I felt that. I felt that. And that hurt me. And I ain't even know the brother. But because of the things that he was doing,
right.
I felt like I could relate and I became one with that brother from a distance. So when he passed away, I was hurt for about a week. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, man, that's crazy. But again, in movie science, it's called a parasocial relationship and you have to be a good actor to do that through a movie. Yes, you're in acting, right?
Mhm,
So,
yep.
learning how to become one and building an imaginary relationship through the caricature that you portray to
Mhm.
relate to the person that's the viewer. And then once you relate to the person, you start showing sides of yourself that this person could relate to, and now this person feel like they're one with you, and now this person is attracted to you or attached to you. So whatever you deal with they deal with
They
because
deal
you
with exactly.
right. So that's a
Mhm.
parasocial relationship. So it's a social thing where you're building a community. But and I feel like that's what it's about ultimately, man, is building those relationships, you know what I mean? So
That's
yeah, man. Working, man. Working.
yes, you are. Well, thank you so
Yeah.
much for sharing. We're gonna start going into the wrapping up section of our show. So typically, we
Do it.
just always allow last minute words that you want to share with the audience, your social media handles, and etc.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, yeah.
that's of
So
honor. So you can go ahead, and then Manny will follow, and I'll go last.
okay, nice, nice. So if I could leave one thing with your audience and with those that follow, you got the ones that follow me, you guys have heard this before, but I want to leave this one question. If investing in yourself was a person, what would it look like? And that's for
Mm,
each individual to answer, right?
that's
I
a
can't tell you what that looks like. You have to be able to determine that because with every perspective comes a level of sacrifice that comes with that. And I
Right.
can't tell you what that's going to look like. But if investing in yourself was a person, what would it look like? And I'll leave y'all with that. You know what I'm saying? So y'all can follow me online. At Lemoi Desina. My name is right here on the screen on Facebook, ASTP Photography across the board on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. I need to get caught up on Twitter. Facebook. Um, what else? Next Door. I'm on Next Door in Wake Forest, North Carolina. LinkedIn. I think that's it. I think that's it.
Okay,
but
great.
but yeah, but yeah, you guys can follow me on those networks and those channels, and I'll follow you guys back. So I appreciate this. Yesy, Manny, thank y'all, man.
We appreciate
Thank
having you,
you.
man. Like it's
Yeah.
very interesting. It was very informative. Like it gives a different perspective to because we always have artists and different types of people, and
Mhm.
this is making people think right now. Like
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's
Yes.
necessary. It's necessary, right? It's
yeah, of
necessary.
course.
Yeah.
Because if you
Food
don't use
for
your brain,
thought.
what is it for? You know,
Right.
if you're
Right.
not thinking, if you're not advancing, if you're not growing, what are you doing? You
Mhm. Mhm. That's
That's
good.
another
That's
food for
good.
thought there, Manny. That's
Right.
Yeah,
another food
that's good.
for thought. I mean,
That's
you're
good.
right. And
That's
that's why I
good.
love Oyandia so much because we have such a diverse group of just not only guests, but between me, Manny, and Tim, we're
Mhm.
all different. And so
Mhm.
when I created Oyandia, that's one of the things I did not want to do is be a certain like, let's stick to this, let's stick to that, let's stick to that. No, this is lifestyle.
Mhm.
This is life. I
It's
want to talk about
lifestyle. Yeah.
everyday life
Yep.
because shit happens,
Mhm.
stuff
Mhm.
happens, right? And so
Yeah.
how are people going to deal with that? That's why
Right.
we have like the entrepreneurships. Like this segment is considered entrepreneurship because you're an
Mhm.
entrepreneur, you're a business owner, you
Mhm.
do a different array of things, but you're
Mhm.
also in a self-ship discovery where you're trying to find
Yeah.
out who you are as well.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And so with the diverse and then the knowledge that you dropped, I mean, is very thought-provoking and food for thought, and I really appreciate
Mhm.
that. So
Yeah.
All
Thank
right.
you. Thank you.
yeah,
Thank
thank you
you.
for sharing
Yeah.
those.
Oh
Okay.
yeah,
That's
and soon we'll be relaunching the podcast too. The cool spot with the K. So you guys look out for that. That's coming. I don't know. I will just be on the lookout for
In the future, in the near future.
in the future. This year, before the year is out. Before the year is out for sure. Yeah, yeah.
And for those who want to book Lemoi Desina for any photography work, hit him
hmm
up and
Hit me
he'll
up.
tell you the numbers and y'all can contract
Hit
and
me
figure it
up.
out like that.
Absolutely. You guys can go to my website at www.astpphotography.com. It's the same information across the board. Absolutely.
Thank you for that. Manny, you are up.
Mhm.
Yeah, I would like to definitely thank Lemoy for coming. Like, this was definitely an interesting show. I
Thank you,
appreciate
brother.
that. I
Yeah,
appreciate
man.
the knowledge that you have. That's a lot of people don't have. A lot of people don't think that way, you know,
No,
hmm
and
hmm
no.
it's not prevalent in this world right now. Like
Yeah.
you're deep with it.
Yeah.
So
Thank you,
what
brother.
You're welcome, man. What I would
Yeah.
like to leave with our guests, as I usually say, don't let the fear of failure overcome
Mm,
the
mm,
righteousness of success.
mm,
Don't be afraid to take that step. Like I tell people, don't be afraid to invest in yourself. Bank on
mm-hmm,
you and be your
mm-hmm,
number one fan because if you are for you and you are your own cheerleader, you're
mm-hmm,
always gonna win. You know what I'm saying?
mm.
You can find me social media. I had to get away from TikTok, even though I have a TikTok, but like the videos get you stuck.
They
Like I've
will.
been off of TikTok for like probably over a year now, and
Yeah.
my numbers, like the messages that people tag me in and whatnot, like it's in the
Mm-hmm.
hundreds. Like I don't
Wow.
even look
Wow.
at TikTok.
Wow.
Like I
Yeah.
said, I'm on the, you know what I'm saying? Like I can't do
Mm-hmm.
it because I'll get stuck. But Arthur Manny Morales, you can Google me, Arthur Manny Morales, ArthurMannyMorales.com. If you want to learn about financial literacy, purchase my book. Let me know. I will send it autographed. Yeah. Don't forget about the show in July. July 13th is coming up. Brunch and meet the brand ambassadors and meet Solomon. It'll be at Aromas in Jacksonville. So come out.
Mm.
That's
Come through.
awesome. Thank you
Nice.
both for that. And yeah, like my quote, like I always say, the sky is never the limit because galaxies are endless. And today's
Mm.
OANDI TV reminds you that the galaxies are endless. Don't put a cap to the sky.
All right.
Like I always say,
All right.
That's
there's
good.
if you take the opportunity now to Google how far is the skyline, it's going to give you a number. That means that there is a
Mm.
limitation
It's a
to
limit.
that sky's the limit.
That is
right?
good.
When you think outside the box, that means that the galaxies are endless. We're only
Hmm.
one galaxy amongst
Yeah.
many
Millions.
across the
Yes.
universe.
That
Or
is
whatever. So
good.
think about that. The sky's
Look,
not the limit.
you
The
got him
galaxy
thinking now.
and
Yeah.
You got
And
him
that
thinking.
was actually a
There we
quote that I
go.
created, Lemoy, because when I heard, and it came from listening to many people say, man, the sky's the limit, the sky's the limit. And I'm like, it didn't sit well with me. I was cringing. I was like,
Right.
don't
Right.
say that.
Right.
So
Right.
me, I'm similar to you. I'm a nerd. I'm very analytical and also artsy. So
Mm.
I did a
Hmm.
test where it says I'm equally brain, which is great, calibrated
Me
left brain,
too. Yeah.
brain, right
Yeah.
brain. And so I searched it. I'm like, there has to be a cap here because I hear it when I go on planes and the pilot's like, hey, we've reached the 35,000, blah, 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 in
Hmm.
the air. And I'm like, okay, so there's a limit to that. There has to
Mm.
be a limit. And I see it also when we look at the Earth, there's a little blue halo.
Hmm.
There's a cap.
Firmament.
Googled it.
Hmm.
It sure is a
Hmm.
cap. There is definitely a cap.
There's a
So
cap.
please,
That's
the,
good.
the audience, remember the skies is never the limit because the galaxies are endless. And along with it, I want to give a special shout out, a big shout out to our sponsors. So we have Collective Wear, we have Byra Enterprise, author Manny Morales, Talk Man Talk, Divine Beauty Accessories. I'm rocking the nice earrings here.
Yeah,
Hey.
those are nice.
Go
Nice.
on my website, yessierodriguez.com. If you're interested in getting these, there's a bunch of other stuff. We have cool shades, just a little bit of everything. Also, I wanted to share that I am a part of the National Alzheimer's Association and G. Davis TV and Films. We're doing a tour, Unforgettable Play, which is coming to a city near you. We still have about 4 or 5 stops left this year. So if you want to know more, if we are coming to a city near you, just go under the unforgettableplay.com
Mm.
and just see where we're going to be at. The tickets are free. So all you have to do is reserve. And come and get some information about Alzheimer's awareness, caregiver information, and just overall just become knowledgeable. And it's open to the family. So whether it be a baby, a toddler, whether an older person, it doesn't matter. All ages are welcome. But
Right.
definitely come out. I highly recommend that. And also find us. You can view us and listen to us. We have several different ways that we could do this here. We are on YouTube, on Facebook, on X. We're also available on Instagram. We're available on Spotify Music, Amazon Music, Deezer,
We definitely
Tune In. So we have just a bunch of stuff. So if you want to listen and or watch Hoy en Dia TV, those are the different platforms you can find us on. But like I always say, thank you so much for your viewing and listening to Port. Gracias por su apoyo, mi gente. You know where to find us, so hit us up. Until next time.
Adios.